Disney Pixar, personally the best animation studio that produces the movies many seem to be a big fan of. Welcome back to the channel, as today I'll be going through and ranking every Pixar animation movie and placing them in a tier list. This is about to be a wild ride, so sit back and let us get started. Looks like we're starting things off with Elemental, something new for a change, as this is Pixar's latest movie released, which proved to be insanely good after many thought of it as a flop at first. It's a story about different elemental residents living together: fire, water, air, and land. A hot woman who is on fire named Ember meets a water guy named Wade as they hit it up together to create some sort of a spark. It's basically a romance, and it turns out they want to see how much they have in common. There is something I love about this movie. It's just, Ember's character is so damn well written and extremely relatable. I wish Wade's, backstory had a little bit more to it, as it was such an interesting factor to the movie. But despite some useless side characters not having, enough screen time, which I felt wasn't really needed, as the movie mostly focused on the two main protagonists the whole way through, and it did super well. This movie goes in the A tier. Toy Story. Man, it's been a wild ride. But this is about a kid named Andy playing with his favorite toy, named Woody. He ends up buying a new spaceman toy that becomes his favorite one, and, Woody gets really jealous. Now, the sequel is also great, actually. Not as good as the first one, but still very fun to watch. Woody gets kidnapped by a dude who works at a toy store, and the gang basically rush out to rescue him. A bunch of wacky, stuff happens, like Buzz meeting his clone, which was hilarious, an epic battle with Zurg, also known as his father, and so on. The third one, probably my favorite. Just like the first one, Andy grows up and wants to get rid of his toys, and the gang ends up in a daycare center that's run by a cuddly bear who turns out to be super evil, who mistreats toys by making them suffer. Oh boy, how far am I with this? I don't know. And the fourth one, Andy gives all his toys to a girl named Bonnie, and Woody ends up in an antique store helping a doll named Gabby to find her a home. And in the end, Woody just stays in the park and the crew separates for the climax. But great movie overall, honestly. S tier. This here is a movie about monsters in children's closets who scare the living crap out of them to gather Scream energy. That definitely sounds like fun, but on a serious note, I love the concept so much. Scream energy to power the city is quite a genius idea. James Sullivan is the main protagonist trying to get this poor girl named Boo back to her home after being let out on accident, and apparently she's the most dangerous creature in existence. And we also got Monsters University, which was a great prequel showing us, how Mike and Sullivan met, and the insane hate to friendship relationship after competing in a competition at university to then ending up working together as partners in the scare company. S tier movies. Finding Nemo. Oh boy. Okay, now, as a kid, this was the very first Pixar movie I watched. Back then, I thought it was amazing, best movie ever. But then rewatching it again in my prime Giga Chad form, it's alright, I guess. Marlin the clownfish faced an unfortunate event to where his wife and kids got eaten by a bigger fish and ends up with one egg, naming it Nemo. Now he wants to protect his son like an overly protective father. Nemo gets caught by a fisherman, and now Marlin travels the ocean, meeting a variety of sea creatures to rescue his son from meeting his deathly doom in the hands of the creepiest kid in existence. What a story. And the sequel, Finding Dory, okay, I guess I don't know what to think of it, honestly. Exact same replica concept of Dory getting lost, Marlin and Nemo go out finding him and rescuing him, that's about it. But I'll rate these movies in B tier, nothing really too special. The Incredibles has amazing soundtrack, great characters, and the concept of superheroes being unwanted by society due to the problems that they caused, then needing them once more in the end to actually stop evil is pretty cool. The movie follows the Parr family, who are superheroes living in hiding, and Bob wants to become a hero in secret despite it being illegal. #1 fanboy also turns out to be the villain of the show. What a surprise! He wants to kill all the superheroes with his giant robot, then defeated himself to be the one and only hero in existence and be appreciated by the public. Oh, easier said than done because he actually failed miserably. But the second movie, the family joins a hero program because people banned superheroes again for some reason, and this company aims to build trust with society by putting dash cams and broadcast how the heroes save the day to build trust once more. Kinda mediocre for a second season, to be honest, but, I'll put these movies in a solid A tier. Cars as a movie is very mid. It's just about talking cars, racing, and that's really all you have to know. Rivalries and who's the best racer. Lightning McQueen ends up in a lost desert town to building friends in this community, helping them restore its name as it's a ghost town now. And the second movie is about Mater becoming a spy agent, saving the day from a bomber man. And the third movie, a random yellow, forgettable car wants to be a racer, and McQueen teaches her the way of racing. Man, I mean, I really don't know about that, Chief, but sometimes even the movies don't really mesh together. You know, like Mater gets completely forgotten about in the third movie, despite being the best character in my opinion. C tier. Ratatouille stands out to me as so much as one of the best Pixar movies. A really funny yet wholesome idea of a rat operating a useless man who can barely cook or make a meal. Linguini becomes Remy's puppet. It's quite complex, not like any Pixar movies that I've seen. Remy lives with his rat colony as they work daily to get food to survive despite being unwanted animals in society. Linguini takes a lot of credit for the tasty meals that Remy cooks up, to where he now owns the 5-star restaurant that ends up in a disaster once his team finds out a rat was behind all the food. Then the entire rat colony worked together to prepare the people's meals, in the end running the restaurant, making the ego guy happy, which got the restaurant super popular once more. Perfect movie, S tier for sure. You know, somehow Pixar always manages to produce bangers, and Up the movie is definitely one of them. Carl as a kid was so into explorers like Charles Muntz. He meets Ellie and ends up marrying her to growing old together, and she ends up passing away, unfortunately. Sad times. But leaving poor old Carl depressed all on his own. But after Carl assaults a man, he was forced to move out to an elderly home, but to prevent that from happening, he gets a whole bunch of balloons overnight, somehow makes his entire house fly up in the sky. This is just impossible, but remember, it's not real, it's a movie. He meets a kid named Russell who joins him on in the house to get to Paradise Falls, and there, Charles Muntz is the bad guy, with an army of dogs, hunting down a big bird to bring back and show the world that he's not a fraud. The movie keeps opening up to amazing plot twists, to, living a happy life like never before in the end. I absolutely love this movie, A tier. Inside Out is surprisingly very good of a movie about emotions living inside the protagonist named Riley. She moves to San Francisco, into a really cramped house. Joy and sadness get thrown out because sadness is being a really annoying tampering idiot, which causes poor Riley to not be able to express or experience happiness or sadness anymore until they both return back. So Riley gets super depressed, and the other emotions decide to come up with a plan to get Riley to run away from her home. And then in the end, Joy and sadness return home, stopping Riley from running away, and the curtains close. The end. A tier movie. The Good Dinosaur. Hey, I mean, how bad can it be, right? Well, it's kind of bad. An asteroid headed to Earth to kill the dinosaurs, except it misses, and thus begins the adventure with a sad, depressing dinosaur who gets lost, finds a caveman child, and the wacky adventure of nonsense begins. It's honestly tedious and repetitive and very unnecessary of a waste of a movie, which is why this is kept really short. I don't know really. I have nothing else to say about this movie. C tier. Thank God, one of the most unique and creative movies Pixar has created. It's called Coco. It truly represents how amazing the Mexican culture is in this film. Amazing characters full of emotion, especially the locations you get to experience in this movie. The music is also a banger that I found so enjoyable. Everything just it fits so well together to create a quality movie worth watching. Miguel lives with his family who hate music, but he learns guitar in secret away from his miserable family. His family was then shocked he played guitar and destroyed it. It just went boom. Then, Miguel magically went to another world after getting another guitar, which allowed him to meet his relatives and must find a way back to the real world with the help of Hector the Skeleton, and boy, there's a lot of plot twists. It's kinda insane, I'm not gonna lie. But overall, S tier movie. Soul. Now, this is a movie that is more on the mature side of things that Pixar has ever done, and truth to be told, there is a lot, and I mean a lot of things that are going on that I had kind of a little bit of trouble keeping up. Joe is the main character. He's a music teacher, and after scoring himself a gig, he falls into a manhole and ends up dying. What a way to go out in life. Then instead of going to the afterlife, he decides to escape and ends up with a bunch of other souls. It's an interesting world, that's for sure, and then weird things happen like body swapping, which is filled with a lot of funny scenes that I found very amusing. But I'll put this movie in B tier. Wow, just wow, this is actually a great movie. A simple concept that can be executed this well is kinda insane. The concept of when monsters become dry, they turn into humans, and when humans get wet, they turn into monsters. Luca wants to go to the surface world, but his family is completely against it, probably because the humans may want to kill him for fish dinner, so he ends up running away instead. Luca then meets Alberto, where they want to get a Vespa motorbike to travel across the lands, though the thing is, Luca just wants to go to school and experience the human world like that. But turns out, Alberto is a sea monster just like Luca, but then twist kinda thickens. It really didn't end well, but the movie is so damn good. Just go watch it. S tier. Finally, we got Turning Red, a very unique change of pace compared to other Pixar movies and a story of a red panda. No, not a bear panda, but they're more related to foxes. It's probably one of the more funniest movies Pixar has ever created. May is the protagonist, 13-year-old girl that transforms into a red panda after getting embarrassed by her mom at a store. The thing is, if May gets emotionally very strong, in a way, she turns into a red panda, but remaining calm and collected, she turns back into a human. May wants to go to a concert and make money through being a red panda, but her parents were very against her actions, which triggered a very cool Godzilla moment of her mom going on a rampage, being a giant red panda in the city. But don't worry, the ending was really happy. But overall, a great movie that I definitely recommend. A tier. And there you guys have it, every Pixar movie ranked in a tier list. Let me know in the comment section down below what your favorite Pixar movie is. Drop a like and subscribe for more rankings and tier lists, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one.